That's true. Dad used to drive us in his car to work and then send us back on the metro. And I'd say, why you do that, Dad? And he says, son, I love you, I'd do anything for you, but you stink. All right. My dad, though, before he got into the car business, he was a history teacher. And then he left that, got into the car business. Now, me, I had a bunch of odd jobs after that. I did all sorts of stuff to support myself in high school and in college. I did everything from selling Dippin' Dots, the ice cream of the future, because if you ever tasted it, you don't want to eat it in the present. And I was a tour guide, But what I wanted to be was a teacher. I wanted to fulfill my father's dream, right? So I went to college. I studied history. That was my focus, and after I graduated, I did what many young grads do. I looked desperately for any job vaguely related to my profession, my major, and so I'm applying to everything. Like I said, I was a history major, so when American University offered me a position of art historian, I thought, well, art history is just history with pictures, and I took it. And it turns out it was a learning experience for me. You've seen those art history textbooks. They're big, they're heavy. On the other hand, they're full of naked people, and that's a nice bonus. I mean, cave art, Renaissance art, Baroque art, abstract art. If you dangled it, somebody drew it. So that's great. And, there was a lot of artists to learn. And some of them had names that were oddly similar, like Monet, Manet. They're both French. They're both painters. They both have beards. It's got to be the same guy, right? And he's just very versatile. So I was hired just before the term was to begin. I had 2 weeks to prepare, and so I'm trying to learn as much about the class as possible. And I came up with a system where, as the term began, I would frantically study the book the night before so I could appear very knowledgeable in class the next day. So I'd be getting a flow going, I'd be doing the lecture, talking very profoundly about something I'd read like 20 minutes before. And then it would happen. A hand would go up. And I'd hear, Professor Lovejoy, Professor Lovejoy. And I'd think, oh God, a question. Okay, Caitlin, right? It's the good students that get you every time. And Caitlin would say, oh, I have a question for you. I was reading ahead, Professor Lovejoy. Oh, God, she's reading ahead? And I want to ask you about, I was looking at the work of Artemisia Gentileschi, the Baroque painter, and I want you to know, do you agree with the theory that Artemisia Gentileschi's paintings are a proto-feminist response to the patriarchal notions put forth by Caravaggio in his use of tenebrism, the play of light and dark? Sure, yeah, absolutely. You know what? In fact, that is an excellent assignment for all of you all. I want you to write it. That's this week's essay. Go out to the library and go write on that, right? And I'd send them on their way, and I'd remind them, hey, don't use Wikipedia, because that's my resource. Right? Find your own resources, right? So, and I'd get the papers back, and I'd mark them, and the good students, I'd go, oh, wow, that's great. I'm going to use that in the lecture next week. That's a good point. I gave them tests that were straight from the teacher's manual, copied from the teacher's manual. I took the exam myself, got a C+, but fortunately I'm sleeping with the professor, so no problems there. By the end of the term, I got a handle on the material, so much so that my supervisor said, hey, you're doing pretty good, Dr. Lovejoy, so we're going to give you the medieval art class to teach next term. And I thought, oh, great, another book, right? And not even the same artist, so... Well, this kind of thing couldn't go on forever, and by the end of the year, I was told I needed to go see the head of the department, Dr. Daphne Chismar, who had taught the classes I was teaching before she moved up the ladder. So I'm walking to her office, and she looked a little bit and spoke a little bit like an animated bulldog, right? So I was a little intimidated by her, and I knocked on her door, and she said, come in. And I said, hi. And she said, Dr. Lovejoy, have a seat. And I said, oh, hey, call me Robert. And she said, and you can call me Dr. Chismar. Now, I want to talk to you about, I got your student evaluations. And I said, oh God, I'm caught. Well, look, let me explain. She goes, they are quite remarkable. I said, well, she goes, they're remarkable in that the students really like you. In fact, they say that you go out of your way to speak to them on their level. And I said, well, thank you. She goes, so, Dr. Rice is retiring. I want you to take over his Renaissance course. All right, is that okay with you? I'm glad it's okay with you. Well, dismiss, see you later, bye. Right? So I leave, and I'm like, oh God, I got another course to learn. So over the last 11 years, I have taught every course from African art to the zoology of culture, and in trying to fool them, I've kind of fooled myself into an art history education. I've learned to teach by learning. And so in closing, I'd just like to mention, if any of you know anything about Japanese art, I got a new course on Japanese prints, and please sign up. It's going to be a learning experience for one of us. Thank you.